Hey, what is good? Welcome to Strats Weekly for the week of 9 November 2020. Hope everybody's doing good. Heyo, what's up, Discord?
Woo!
How y'all doing? Oh, good, the chroma key's still working. I didn't even think to check that. I put the screen back up and didn't even check this frame, so I'm very happy that this is working correctly. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Strats Weekly, where we talk about games and stuff going on in the community and technology and whatever else people in Discord want to chat about today. So, how is everybody? How was everybody's week? Pretty good?
It was pretty good. I made socks that look like cat feet.
That's true. You should put pictures up, by the way. She found a pattern where you actually has little an actual cat paw on the bottom of the sock with little toe
Well, I
beans.
essentially had to rewrite the entire pattern to work with the yarn I had, but yes.
I was back working in the office for the first time since March.
Oh man, how was that?
That was something else. It was, for the longest time, I think they opened the office technically back up at the end of August, early September.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, there's limited capacity and you have to, book a desk. So my team wasn't really doing that, but then they brought back the free coffee and snacks, and then my team was all over let's pick a day, let's go back in. All of a sudden we're in.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's like anything else. I was told there'd be punch and pie.
Yeah. So it was good. I actually, working from home was nice. I wouldn't necessarily want to work from the office 5 days a week again, but I definitely felt more ambitious being back in the office rather than just rolling out of bed and going over to my computer.
So what are you guys doing? 2 days on in the office, or 3 days on, or just periodically as appropriate?
We'll see in the new year. As of right now, it looks like leading up to the holidays, it's just going to be every Thursday. We're going to book desks and go in.
I mean, that's cool. I think that's a good way. That kind of hybrid format. I took a few college classes like that, where it's predominantly online, but once a week you go in for an hour and you actually get FaceTime with your group members and your classmates and your professor.
Yeah, I give everybody a chance to touch base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that in-person accountability is I think a really good thing. I think it's a good compromise given the
Just be
the
safe.
current dynamic. Yeah, be safe. Wear a mask.
Yeah, 'cause we had some co-op come for 4 months, and he started on May 1st, and he basically didn't exist. It's one of those things where you don't even think about it when you're in the office. I might be talking to my coworker Ryan about the foosballs, and then he's, all of a sudden you hear over here and you're like, oh, hey, I watched the sports game too. And then you get in a conversation about that. But you don't really have that when you're online. It's I'm not going to just message him and be like, hey, how's your day going? Or,
why not?
He's not going to, I don't know, it feels weird.
Well, it's not as opportunistic, I guess. When you're,
It feels forced. It's not natural.
yeah, no, I completely understand. That makes perfect sense. Where because reaching out on Slack or something just to be have a sidebar on this thing that's predominantly very work focused just feels awkward.
Welcome to a tiny taste of what it feels like to live with social anxiety. Any interaction feels like that to me.
Yeah, but it was nice just being back in and seeing people and actually getting a bunch of shit done.
Nice. Do you feel? You said you felt more ambitious. Are you one of the ones that you feel just generally more productive when you're actually at a physical location that you associate with work, as opposed to being at home, which you more likely associate with leisure, recreation, etc.?
I think it depends on what I'm working on and what has been happening recently in terms of I really liked the occasional working from home when I was in the office every day, and I'd be oh, I can just wake up, roll out of bed. I feel good. I don't have to drive to work, and I can just very relaxed work on things, throw on some music or whatever, get up and go to the washroom wherever. So it is it's less stressful that way, but it's also when you only have that, it just feels so casual. And I'd be well, I could do a bunch of work, but I could also just watch this video. You know what I mean? And it's just work starts to feel more like work, whereas when I go in the office, I'm I'm totally okay with doing this. So it's hard to describe, but
No, I understand. I think I understand what you're on.
Yeah, I think we get it.
Too much of only one of those things is not good.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm in camp. Like, let's do like 3 in, 2 at home type thing.
Yeah, work from
moving
home is
forward.
a treat unless you have to do it all the time, and then it's a chore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have another buddy who a lot of the people have gone back in for his office, but he does IT type work, so a lot of his stuff can be done remotely. And he is elected for health reasons. He's like, no, dude, like, I am not coming in. Like, fire me if you have to, but I'm not coming in. Like, I will continue to do my work from home. But he said, like, one of the things that he doesn't like about the situation he's in is because they know he's working from home, they will just reach out at, like he's one of the guys that does on-call stuff also sometimes. So, like, sometimes he's got, like, the night shift. And so from, like, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. he's on call in case, something goes sideways with the service.
Yeah.
But even on days when he's not on call, or when he's on call, non-emergency things unrelated to what he's supposed to be doing, or how they're supposed to be making use of that work time, they'll be like, oh hey, they'll like send him an email at like 10:30 at night on a day he's not on call because he's working from home with some level of expectation that he's going to address it. And it's just like, no dude, like, just because I'm working from home doesn't mean you magically get 24 hours out of me. Like,
right?
Business should still be confined within some defined business day. Like, I should have business hours and personal hours. If I was coming into the office every day, you wouldn't be emailing me at 10:30 unless it was a like dire emergency to handle something. But all of a sudden, because I'm working from home, now you think you can.
Yeah, there's certainly some weird dynamics where it's like if I'm in the office and someone can see that I'm like focused and working on something, they probably won't come up and bother me. But at the same time, if I'm at home, like I might be working on something, but they can't see that, so they message me on Slack or something like that.
Yeah, the lines get blurred.
And if you don't respond, it's like, well, what? Were you not at your computer? Like, it's like, no, I was working on something. Like, I'm not at your beck and call.
Yeah,
right?
I was stuff doing. Like, you see stuff being done.
I was doing my job.
Yeah. It's like the expectations change, because when you're in the office, nobody would expect you to drop everything and do something, but then all of a sudden when you're not, like, I'm not saying people imply that, but there is a certain amount of that where people just message you out of nowhere, and you can just feel that they're like, well, like, I messaged you and now it's like an hour later, what were you doing for an hour? It's like, well, I saw your message and I didn't think it was important, so I kept working on what I was working on.
Like what? Like how am I supposed to delineate, what I should be doing? It's like a decision I have to make, right? It's interesting talking to Vicino off and on the last several months about, the new normal and the work situation and team management for him, as a remote manager. He's definitely ready for there to be some in-person time, because he said there are some people that he feels like he's got people who just like work better, like not like do work better, but just engage with work better in a actual environment that they associate with work as opposed to being at home.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes sense. It's just like how everybody has a different learning style. Everybody has a different style in which they're more comfortable working.
Yep. It's neat.
Yeah, it does. I think the whole like adjustment to being able to work from home is good. I think it's nice to have a balance, but then it also allows you to do cool stuff. Like my lease for the place I'm renting, I can get out of at the end of January. So I'm just going to, my good friends move out to BC. So I'm just going to basically put all my stuff in storage and then go out to BC for a month and like work from there.
Nice.
Hey, you're coming out my way.
Yeah, man. Comox. I don't know how close that is to you.
Yeah, I just have to take a ferry in a short drive. I could get up there, but I mean that's still part of the tropical part of Canada, right? So
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I'm probably going in February.
Strats February meetup 2021 confirmed BC.
You see, if you guys are allowed in our country,
We won't be, and that's fine.
You might be now.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I don't think we're going to be allowed anywhere for a while. Given
I guess
the
that only
current,
gives you guys like.
I wouldn't trust Americans anywhere.
I mean,
I guess that only gives you 10 days of reform.
well, politics aside, if you just look at our numbers, like our numbers are just like skyrocketing. Like Texas is the #1 state now. We did it.
We're number one.
Yeah,
You sure are.
we sure are. My county has more cases than Utah, the whole state. I just found out today. So there's that.
Numbers are great.
Yeah, like I know our area isn't huge, but when you see some of the numbers in the States versus here, I was like looking in Waterloo region, which is like several big cities, probably a population total of like 1 million people. And I was like looking at the number of new cases. This is a few months back. And in Florida, it was when Florida was having like 20,000 new cases a day or something stupid like that. And I'm like, how many do we have? 4.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, man. Oh,
Yeah, I think our province had just under 1,000 over the course of the weekend, so like Saturday to today, and it's huge
Yeah.
news. It's
That's
it's
a lot,
big
but
numbers.
BC is also like if you take the number of people, like the per capita,
Oh yeah,
it's not like it's still nowhere near state's numbers.
No,
but
no,
it's huge for Canada.
yeah. We're pushing Ontario numbers out last year.
ooh.
It's all well, like you could say Ontario, but let's be real, it's all Toronto.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I live in Metro Vancouver. That's where the numbers are. In fact, half of Metro Vancouver accounts for 2/3 of all of the numbers in our province on a daily basis. It seems.
Wow. I mean, when you look at the population distribution as well as like density of population, per.
That's just because the geese can't catch it yet.
I mean,
That's our secret weapon.
Was it the minks in Denmark that caught it?
It was the minks.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you piss us off enough, we'll send those cobra chickens down there, and they'll have the
No.
cobra.
Oh, dude,
thank
they
you.
come
Keep
down
your
here of their
geese.
own volition, but you can keep the rest of them. Like, enough of them come south.
Yeah, well, I think the cobra chickens they've started already going down your way. Right now we have the snow geese.
Do not want.
So the cobra chicken's Russian relative.
You can keep those.
Speaking of the weekend, though, for those who didn't know, Extra Life Game Day was this weekend on Saturday. Life Force made his goal, and then some.
Oh, yeah.
I think. Did your team end up
Bucks.
making the goal?
That team did not make the goal. We're like 60% of the way. I mean,
That's not bad. I mean, that was an ambitious goal you said in the first place. So like 60% of an ambitious goal is still, it's not nothing.
Pretty good.
We like when I think I said during the stream, I created the team for the podcast like last year, and that was the first time I'd led a team. This year, did the same thing. I'm like, I'm gonna give her. We're gonna get $1,500 as a team. We got like 870.
I mean, that's still great. That's like great amount of money. To the various
not
hospitals.
knocking it, right? But yeah, no, I just I was actually looking over the numbers just on my own personal side. So 5 years ago, when I took part in Extra Life, I made $50 and I was ecstatic. 2 years ago, I got just over 500 US. I was ecstatic. Last year, 575, I think it was, and then this year, 860 US, which after exchange, $1,100 Canadian. So
Nice.
So many rupees.
You sure
So
you're rounding
many
that right?
rupees.
I feel like you've missed a zero in there somewhere.
Yeah, right.
well, it was rough math. I can barely count to 3.
Everything's a little funny with the funny money.
Yeah, but it's like I was blown away. Like one of the struggles is not seeing the alerts during the stream, so I could not actually see how much I was at. I had to go and actually open up a browser, take a look, and what have you. But I just completely floored that I was able to make that much money. And I kind of mentioned on the stream as well, the night before I was kind of thinking I'd skip it, not to suggest I wouldn't do it. I just wasn't in the right sort of mental state, and decided when I woke up, I'm like, I'll stream for a couple of hours. But it was just the people that I was with sort of cheering me on, I guess, for lack of a better word, and the viewers and Auth and by like just sort of the positivity just became almost infectious. And I ended up shutting down the stream an hour prior to my originally planned to go, but I was tired. I think I hadn't realized how drained I was, and so I was already at empty, and that stream and the money we raised was what got me through it for close to 9 hours.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. It is exhausting but fulfilling work.
Yeah, but that's as I say, it's like $1,100 Canadian to the BC Children's Hospital Foundation, and I'm glad that I was able to do my part to inspire others, because really that's what it comes down to. It's people like yourselves that are inspired to provide that donation, and me, I just hop online and play games. So
Well, I mean,
Heck yeah.
to be fair, as someone who used to, I mean, this stream notwithstanding, as somebody who used to stream video games, also like streaming, especially long streaming sessions, those are exhausting. Like it's way more than just like people think you're gonna just like fire up a stream and play video games, and that's all there is to it. But like when you have to split your attention between what you're doing,
You're maintaining a presence.
right, maintaining a presence and engaging not only with your gameplay and anybody you're playing the game with, but also with the chat who's watching you play the game. It's mentally stressful.
Taxing?
Yes,
Yeah,
taxing. That's the
it's
word I'm looking for.
exhausting.
yeah, I kid you not, when I logged off, I went and thought, I'm just gonna lie down in the bed here for a bit. And an hour or so
And
later,
he
my
wasn't
wife
seen
and
for
daughter,
3 days.
yeah, pretty much. No, my wife and daughter woke me up when they got home, but yeah, it was fun. I'm glad, obviously, that I did it. I'm glad we beat that goal. I mean, that just sort of leads me to believe that next year, maybe I'm looking to break that $1,000 US ceiling I see
Yeah.
just above me.
Go for it. You got this.
Yeah.
So,
That's super
but,
awesome.
but yeah, no, it was definitely a phenomenal weekend. In fact, I think cumulatively on the year, I want to say Extra Life is like close to like 12 million.
Nice.
Especially given the economic situation just globally this year, but especially here in the States, that's incredible. That much money was still available for people to donate to charity. Like that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good fun, good times, and as to the point you raised, yeah, in the current sort of financial climate, especially for personal finances, it's still some serious coin. I'm really happy to see that there has been as much success for Extra Life as they have had in years past.
Yep.
And regarding that though, okay, so you sent this like 3 hours ago. So what's happening with the copyright strikes for people who use the official Extra Life videos now?
So I guess some context for anyone who might be watching the stream that doesn't know what's sort of going on. The RIAA has started to essentially enforce or make DMCA claims on streamers. I mean, it's primarily focused on Twitch, from what I can tell. I think YouTube's been hit by a bit as well. But simply put, if you're using content that you're not licensed to use, these DMCA claims are taking place. And the big offender right now is audio.
Oh, and the RIA loves to go after Twitch streams.
Yeah,
Loves
so
to go after Twitch streams.
So what's happened in years past is Extra Life creates essentially videos, short 30-second bits, 3 minutes. There's a longer one which is about 10, and it's the one that I use and a lot of people use. But this 10-minute story is essentially the extended story on Victoria Emma, who's the little girl that was the inspiration behind Extra Life. And so they've put together this video, and I think you saw it because we were talking about the audio, the music, it's being popping a little high. Well, the thought is that the music that's contained within this video is what's now in turn been algorithmically determined to be unlicensed or not properly licensed. So there are Extra Lifers, so people who are taking part in Extra Life using this video that has been provided by the Children's Miracle Network Hospital group and Extra Life to promote and to use during stream, well, they're getting DMCA claims against them, which on Twitch is a strike and potentially can, result in a ban. So what's now happened is people doing what, we, myself included, thought we were allowed to do are potentially running afoul of, I would presume it's the RIAA because it's the audio side.
Mm-hmm.
Making it messier is that Children's Miracle Network Hospital had actually gone this summer and spoken to their legal team to ensure that the videos within that media kit that they provide all of the extra lifers had the applicable licenses available to them so that there wouldn't be a situation like this. And they had done that prior to the summer, but did it again because of the big news of how many Twitch streamers were getting hit this summer. And it's continued, until today. There was a few other big Twitch streamers that found themselves banned. So they're looking into it. So I'm going to presume that the Children's Medical Hospital will be able to figure this out, and at very least, I would hope that the RIAA understands the situation, and if it's not, at least some sane. Well, I can dream, but I hope that sane.
They have to know what they're doing. There's no way they can't not know.
So the thing is, it's probably with the scale that these kind of things happen, it's probably being done completely automated and algorithmically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not somebody going in and manually flagging things. So then it's a big mess to go back and manually assess. If you flag thousands of videos and they have to be manually reviewed, it just takes time to go through that.
Yeah, and that's one of the struggles as well, is that at first there was thought like, okay, are you sure it's the video? Because the actual strike email doesn't tell you it's this period of time, it's you've used this music, and they were able to finally determine it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a particular track. I don't know the specific details, but because there's been a lot of conversation in the Extra Life Discord today about it. But ultimately it's an audio clip. But I mean, thinking this a step further, it's just Twitch has sort of allowed for this situation to have been created simply because they didn't make too much of a big deal about it, but they also created a place that people could use audio. Like, I was actually sort of following up with this on online, trying to find out how many people, or if there was anyone that I had known had received a strike about it. But like, if you have an IRL stream and the audio gets picked up, however faint, the algorithm can pick that out of the stream, and that's worth a strike. And so that's where I think in the Extra Life Discord there was thought like, oh, could it have been like, yeah, you were playing the video, but did you have your mic hot, and did it pick up a song or something that you had in the background that you didn't intend on the stream?
I mean, depending on how widespread it is, that'd be seems like a pretty far stretch, a mic picking something up.
Well, but that's the thing, is there have been, specifically on Twitch, because that's the platform I know better, there are IRL streamers who have received DMCA notices over a clip of them walking past a store that had its door open and the music playing for, albeit, however long it took for them to walk past. Because the algorithm does not discriminate on the length of time at which
as soon as it hears the clip.
Yeah, if it recognizes it, you get the hit.
And so I know of one instance where someone appealed, and the appeal was Twitch did, like, essentially said, no, it's between you and them, hands off. And functionally, when it comes to DMCA claims, do you really want to fight? Because you're essentially, putting yourself in the position that the lawyers get involved, and I can't imagine the lawyers on the other side aren't extremely well paid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if you win, you'll still lose the amount of money you'll probably spend to fight. Oh,
probably more than that, I would imagine. I mean, like, I remember when it wasn't a DMC, it was fair use related argument, the YouTube situation with H3H3 and whatever that stupid guy's video was. That legal battle that spawned like the FUPA account and everything for making like fair use protection. It They spent just oodles of money on that case and fought it legally for over a year before they finally won. Like they won, and they had the financial support to handle that. But like the overwhelming majority of Twitch streamers do not have that sort of capital to go and fight the RAAA. Like it's just not.
No.
It's not
Well,
practical.
And I mean, we're sort of talking about this in context of Extra Life, but even today, a streamer received a DMCA notice based on the music out of Destiny 2. And what caught the algorithm was remnants of the McCartney track from Destiny 1 that still exists in game.
Wow.
So Bungie is looking into it because as far as Bungie's concerned, that should not be an issue. And they're not like Bungie, if you actually go to their terms, they say if you're streaming our product, and you're doing things that you shouldn't. I mean, I paraphrasing to the extreme here. Right. They're like, yeah, go for it. You're promoting our product. You're getting it in front of people. And I think most, game developers, they're perfectly fine with live streaming of their content, or even in some cases,
Nintendo.
Most.
That's I said most, and in some cases, maybe you're also allowed to do other content, except for. But yeah, Bungie's made it very clear. My podcast on the Vancouver Titans, one of the cool things that Activision Blizzard allows for, in this case, the Blizzard part, is that I can use their audio, I can use their content so much as is one, it's not all it is, but two, I'm not, monetizing it, making, repackaging it and selling it or something along those lines.
Right. If it's used fair use policy.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is like, I mean, I don't want to say fair use, because as I'm now learning, fair use is not an out. Fair use is simply a legal defense that can be used once you're in court. It's not an actual, policy that would exist per se. Like there's no, I'll use the Weird Al Yankovic. One of the reasons he can do what he does is that it has been proven, because he was actually taken to court and sued, that what he does is considered fair use. So there's actual legal precedent specific to him. And then from there, others who have iterated in the parody sense. But when it comes to live streaming content, on Twitch, YouTube, wherever, I guess there isn't case law that supports that type of concept.
It's relatively new. It takes time for that kind of legal precedent to be set, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I mean, the DMCA was not authored when the concept of, live streaming really existed in the way it does today.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But, sort of one final note, a podcast I was listening to was actually talking about this. And their opinion is that the reason we're seeing so many strikes, or Twitch strikes, but so many claims right now under DMCA, is the fact that with many people, working from home, at home, shelter-in-place orders, what have you, what's occurred is kids, for the most part, have been watching Twitch streams, YouTube streams, what have you, and their parents, who happen to work in that side of the industry, suddenly notice that, well, wait a minute, I wonder if they're allowed to do that. And the trickle down is that opened the eyes of whomever to say, hey, these are people using our licensed material in an unlicensed fashion. Let's go forth and sort out. So it's unfortunately quite possible pandemic related.
I hadn't even considered that as like a potential exacerbating factor.
I think one time I watched, I think it was like a Linus Tech Tips video about they were trying to make some content and they just wanted like a small clip of a song, and it would have literally cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they started talking about it. Like, that's part of the issue, is that industry hasn't adjusted to this at all, and there's no affordable way for people to get like known music on their stream, like that any normal person could afford.
Yeah, so like, I mean,
it's truly surely there's a way to create a model, because I know the challenge they have is like, if we charge the average person with a small Twitch stream less, how do we charge, Universal when they want to, make a movie or something like that? How do we charge them hundreds of thousands of dollars to use our song?
Yeah, I like.
But like, there has to be a way to.
There's got to be some kind of middle ground. Yeah, because like when I was even just like getting pre-music for the weekly, I was very surprised how challenging it was to find songs that were royalty free, copyright free, that I was allowed to just like use in a streaming context. Like even on services like SoundCloud, it was a righteous, like, tons of hoops, pain in the butt to like even get even the ones that were listed as royalty free DMCA or royalty free, copyright free, you could like download and use it. Even just getting access to those was like a ton of extra hoops to jump through. And then if you were actually paying for something, you were paying some kind of subscription model to these services. And what I didn't know with those services specifically that were subscription model, like, okay, cool, maybe I can pay like $10 a month and have access to this big music catalog, and maybe that's really cool. But like, where do my rights to that music end? Like, what happens if in a year, 2 years time, we stop doing the weekly and I stop paying for that license as a result? Like, what happens to all of the videos that will invariably still exist on YouTube?
Yeah, the back catalog.
Mm-hmm.
So from my understanding of it, as long as you produced the content while you had the license, and as long as you published the content while you had the license, then it's good. But anything that you publish after you no longer had the license, if it still has music from their service, then that's when you'll start.
Interesting. Yeah, what I ended up doing is finding. I decided to not do any kind of paid service as a result. One, just to keep the overhead of this stream down, but two, because I just like I didn't want to jump through those legalese, and I didn't want to, like, 5 years from now, have something happen and then have to like sort it out legally or otherwise.
Have to find the information to prove that you were paying for it at the time.
Just wasn't worth the headache. So I continued to search until I found some adequate free resources.
Yeah, I like it. It's catchy.
Oh,
the thing about sort of the rights, though, is like, Braden and I are in Canada. The laws up here are actually different than what the two of you would see down in the United States. And so while Braden and I could have the I think it's called, is it ASCAP, the Canadian version? Yeah, like we could have an ASCAP license. So here I have a podcast produced here in Vancouver, British Columbia, up in the Great White North. I have a license for the music in Canada that does not allow anyone else outside of Canada technically to hear if the rights holder in, let's say, the United States is different, or in Europe is different. Like there's the international side that gets in the way, but I think right now the most, what occurs to me to being the most litigious of the groups, the RIAA, and specifically what we're seeing out of the United States.
Oh yeah, I mean, capitalism. They've been. I mean, even you look back at the, like, you talk about like the "you wouldn't download a car" meme, campaign they did a while back, and then, but even back in radio era, there was like this whole to do about like kids like cassette recording songs off the radio. It's just make a fuss about it. Anytime they can't make their money, they got to make a fuss about it.
Man, I did not create my own mixtapes downloading or recording songs off the radio. Never once.
Nope.
Never once. Never timed it to like the moment the
DJ started talking again.
Yeah, exactly. Never did any of that. Never
took me over a week to get one of the songs I wanted to record because the DJ was always talking over the fucking intro, and I wanted the intro so bad. Never did that.
Never did that. Speaking of music, though, I mean, I was actually going to mention, like, for my stream, I use Pretzel, which has a really decent library of essentially appropriately licensed auditory content. What's interesting with Pretzel, however, is that if I'm streaming on Twitch, there's a library, but if I'm going to go and stream on YouTube, they actually have an option to say YouTube safe, because it is possible the moment that audio goes on YouTube, the algorithm could possibly flag it over there. So they have a sort of a separate library of YouTube safe music Not because they don't have the right license, but again, it's this intricacy of having to ensure that
YouTube's way more
Yeah.
aggressive.
yeah. But another option is Stream Beats with or from Harris Heller. Also, his is actually his license is crazy. It's like as recently today he's creating like a rock album, and he's like the Stream Beats rock song will have an instrumental release, stems and guitar tabs, and of course you can monetize your YouTube covers of them. Go ham,
Nice.
That's
right?
awesome.
Like I think there needs to be more people that sort of like him and more companies like Pretzel, like because there's an opportunity here, and I like Pretzel. I think is a good one. Pretzel pays for the license music, like they actually pay for that. Their app is monetized to provide sort of a pro version, which allows you to not have to go and say if you don't want to the music you're listening to. It provides a little greater flexibility as to how that will be used. But again, I think there is definitely an opportunity. The problem is it's not going to get you, the latest song from BTS or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the lists that I scoured aside from SoundCloud, Spotify actually has an official playlist that's updated on the regular with songs that are like artists have said you are allowed to stream this song, and so they Spotify actually has an official playlist you could go to, and you could run that in the background of your stream or YouTube, and in theory not have any problems. So there are some other there are some like ways where that can happen, but again, you're right. It's not any of the latest stuff. It's not the stuff that you would probably normally be listening to on Spotify. It's crazy.
One day you won't have to deal with this kind of crap, and one day they won't have. My dream is that there won't be regionally distributed content.
That would be amazing.
That's my dream.
Man.
The number of times where it's like, yeah, this is available here, but you're not in that country, so you can't watch it. Because these people own the distribution rights in your country.
Dude.
It's like, okay, but like the people in my country that own those rights are not distributing it. It's like, yeah, well, it's too bad.
Lest we forget the woes of Strats Netflix party,
Yeah.
trying to find literally anything that was in both Canada and America's Netflix catalog.
We went through a list of like 6 different things or more, didn't we?
It was so... Dude, I remember Braden and I sitting around for, I shit you not, 30 minutes to an hour some weeks just trying to find anything that was mildly entertaining that was on both the catalogs. It was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Well, the old solution was we'd fire up the VPN, but I mean, for the most part, that doesn't work anymore either.
You know what? We can actually probably do I wonder if we can do a watch party in Discord now.
They're smart about that also. You can't do anything like that. I remember somebody who, I won't say who for their own sake, was attempting to do that, but the audio levels are just untenable to do that in Discord. The broadcast audio levels specifically.
Oh, and it must like
There's not like it's not like there's I don't think there's any security features that prevent it necessarily, but it's just like the stream level, audio level was so low that like you could see what was happening from the screen share, but you couldn't actually you couldn't really hear anything. It was not a pleasant experience from what I understand when they attempted it.
Really?
Yeah.
When was that? Was that before Strats got boosted? We have the high bit rate. Because that's the problem is when you have the default channels and stuff, your bit rate is like fucking 5 kilobits per second, which is okay for voice. Like the lower bit rates are okay for voice, but,
Yeah,
as
but
soon as you
trash for
have
video.
someone talking and then music playing in the background and other sounds, all of a sudden you need at least like MP3 like 320 kilobits per second kind of.
It
levels.
wasn't I mean, it wasn't on the Strats server, because then you're starting to get into like the gray area, and we try to avoid that as much as possible. But from what I understand, it like they attempted it, and it just on a different Discord server, and it just like didn't work at all.
We should after this we should see what happens if
And just see if like the audio levels are just truly untenable
in a private call.
in a private call.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
gonna
You
try-
two want to have a private call, do you?
Yes, a private call where I'm
Yes.
going to share with him a video that I made. Right?
Oh man.
Not at all pirated content, a video that I made,
Oh
and then we can
man.
test the levels.
Strictly
Get
on the up and up.
naughty.
Man,
Just
Yeah.
going to call you Captain Braden Sparrow.
You kids behave.
So hey, here's something that I saw the other day that I thought was really interesting. Wait, where'd it go? Is it this? Haha, I did it. So this is interesting. I looked at Marvel's Avengers and was kind of like, not really interested. And I heard some mixed things about it. Apparently, Square Enix is like, it's in rough shape right now as a result of, or largely led by the fact that like, it did not do well. Has anybody actually played it? I know a few people in Strats have played it.
I have not.
Like I think Ninjaneer picked it up. I'm trying to remember who
I
it
loved
was.
it.
Did Ches get it maybe? I know there's a handful of people I know that were playing when it very first came out. And I've seen like even just with like Extra Life weekend while I was like, because I don't watch a ton of Twitch anymore. But I was on a lot more this weekend with Extra Life, and I was floored at how many like Marvel's Avengers video game themed ads I was getting hit for, especially the Lily Pichu Stride 5 gum one that's like themed around Marvel's Avengers. So it was like a huge advertising campaign for a game that's doing just like bad apparently.
At least it's not as bad as it used to be when you would overestimate sales and then you would produce the actual physical media and then couldn't sell it.
And then throw it all in a landfill?
And then throw it all in a landfill, exactly.
Oh man, there's definitely not pictures floating around on the internet of things like Mass Effect 3, for example.
So, just looking at the game right now, there are currently 155 viewers on Twitch.
Ooh, really? Holy.
So the top stream has 33.
Good lord. Hold on. What is this? Steam.
Oof.
Man, what would it be? Steam charts. That's what I want. Give me Steam charts.
Because while you're looking up, the only time I ever saw the game played by what I would know as a big streamer, and I'm to say I know a lot of them, was just prior to and launch, where I think they paid for the Dr. Lupos, the Tim the Tatmans, the whomever else to play, and I've never seen them play it again.
Yikes, man. Sub 900 player peak in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I wonder if it's not a lot of people are playing because the streamers aren't playing it, or the streamers aren't playing because it's not very good, or a little bit of both. I wonder how much of it is if they like went out and paid a bunch of streamers to play it, if all of a sudden their sales would be a lot higher.
I don't think it would be. I mean, I think at this point, like, I have to imagine that's why, like, numbers looked really big, way back, or bigger, I guess, back here. But even when you go all the way back.
Well, I would like to say, how does gameplay on that game work? Like, how many people can play together at one time?
Isn't it 4-player?
Because the things where more people can play together at once and the game sessions are a little bit shorter, or one or the other, are the things that are really popular right now because everybody's trapped at home and everybody wants to play online with their friends.
Well,
so when you're cycling through with a bunch of people playing a bunch of different things, those types of games are raising in popularity, where the things where it's just a few of you playing for a long stretch are kind of losing popularity.
Yeah, I mean, I think the $60 price tag probably didn't help. If I remember correctly, wasn't there a controversy where like there were season pass type things per character with this game or something like that? Like
I don't even know.
It had some controversies on the front end of things that I think
there's always controversy about season passes.
Well, but like on a per hero basis, like there were
that's ridiculous.
Like reward tracks, like if you wanted like all the Captain America stuff, it wasn't just that you just had to play Captain America a whole bunch. You also had to pay, some small MTX price in order to get like all of the unlocks. So
that'd be a major turnoff for me.
Yeah,
but the thing is, like, how much did they actually pay for the license too? Because it could be that that's what's related. They paid a boat ton for the license to actually produce the game, and MTX was their, golden goose to pay it off, with the thought that, oh, people will just want to be Iron Man and we'll be able to get them there, but those that might want to be Iron Man, Captain America, they'll pay even more.
Well, but the funny thing though is, like, if I remember correctly, with this game, you actually also make your own hero. It's either a new hero or there's one that's like specifically for you. And I don't remember. Like I said, I never played it. Didn't look super hard into it, but I feel like there's another hero that's not part of like the traditional Avengers storyline.
So it'd be like kind of like DC did it, or DC Online.
Yeah, something kind of like that, where like you have your own hero with their own unique powers. So like that further de-incentivizes, I would think, playing as other characters, because, or like playing as the traditional characters, because like you've got your own character, or maybe the fact that you have to play as your own character is a turnoff. Whereas what was the X-Men game they did this on back on like the 360 era? That was a lot of fun, where you like, it was a 4-player team up thing.
Simpsons Arcade?
Simpsons Arcade. Ninja Turtles Arcade?
Same
Turtles
thing.
In Time?
Different skin.
But I don't know. I never feel like when a company comes out with a product that consumers are not happy with, I never think like, oh, well, the cost to us was this, is like a valid excuse. I really don't think it is, because if your rationale for producing something consumers don't want is, well, the cost to us was too much, it's like you've just invested in building a shitty product. Like,
yeah, like that's a
right?
that's
If you're
bad
not building
investment.
something that people want, like, what are you doing? You're not, like, people aren't obligated to buy from you because it costs you so much.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's, if your return on investment is going to be like really thin margins, that seems like maybe a bad idea. You'd think that well, I don't know, maybe Marvel just didn't have confidence in the performance. If they, like, say the licenses were super expensive, rather than Marvel getting a larger cut of the sales. Like, I would think if they had confidence, they would take a larger cut of the sales, as opposed to an exorbitant licensing fee. So maybe there was a lack of confidence in the product's ability to deliver in the first place if they had really high licensing fees. I don't know. This is all supposition. I don't know a whole ton about the game. Just saw the article and thought it was really interesting that Square Enix, which is usually a pretty reliable, name in video games, is having like such a rough go as a result of this one, well, driven largely on the back of this one game's flop.
They've had a couple things, like there was a Deus Ex where they tried to do, like, they were one of the first ones to try and push like single player, like, microtransactions, like not even multiplayer, and people were really pissed about that. Like, this is not the first time they've done something like this.
Yep, man, it's just like the EA Wilson loot boxes all over again.
Yeah, I don't know how you can feel like okay about your company when your strategy is like, let's try and, it's not like let's make a good product that people feel good about, like, buying and playing. It's like, let's figure out how we take this product and then just like twist it to try and like force out as much money out of people as possible. It's like,
milk them for all they're worth.
Well, I mean, like, and part of it, like, I understand from an economy standpoint for them, the price, like the AAA price of video games, has remained largely static for quite a while, despite inflation globally. So I understand that part of it is there's a reluctance to drive the base cost of the game up, so you're trying to find ways to shore up that profit necessity other places. But I think at this point it's time to just bump all of the prices up a little bit. Yeah. Like, it's not what I don't want to pay more money for a video game necessarily. Like, I'm all about, like, if you're going to give it, like, I'm the guy that buys everything on Steam sales most of the time. Well, yeah. I say everything, almost everything. Like, I want that sale. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But,
well, it's one of those things where, again, it's like you charge what you need to charge, and if you're trying to charge a price and people aren't willing to pay that, it's like you're not providing people with enough value. You're just not.
It's true.
Right? It's like, it sucks that the industry is changing for them, but you have to either, like, adapt to that in a way that consumers are okay with, or you're screwed. Like, that's that happens in every industry. It's not unique to the video game industry.
Yep.
Like the industry changes, and if you can't adapt appropriately, then you're in trouble. And it's like it's clear that they're starting to get a lot of pushback on microtransactions and that kind of stuff. So like clearly that's not the way forward.
I mean, like
I hope so. I
and-
hope that crap stops.
well, see, I'm okay with microtransactions as long as they are truly optional, and I don't feel like I'm legitimately missing, like, I'm not, like my when talking about like Battlefront 2 was a big one that I was like in camp, like these microtransactions are awful when the original inception of it, because like you've created pay to win. There is PvP, and people can literally buy power. That's
Yeah,
not
I have
good
a problem with that.
microtransactions.
I also have a problem with, okay, so for example, let's take an old MMO like Flife. You could use actual money to just buy a costume if you wanted to have a particular costume. I'm fine with that, but there are some games where they set it up as if it's a collectible. Like they show you all the costumes you've unlocked, and included in there are ones that you can only get by paying money. So you feel like you can't 100% the game and collect all of the things without paying money. I don't like when they do it that way either. I think it's really shady, and I think it plays on like people that like really enjoy the collection and 100%ing aspect of games. It seems manipulative to me.
Well, even like was it Genshin Impact right now is like the current hotness of like, you know,
Yeah.
paying money and chancing to get the thing you want. I mean, there's people that have spent. I watched a YouTube video about a guy talking about one of the characters and talking about the game state, you know, the end game state, and he confessed that he'd spent well over $1,000 on that game.
Okay, but in that one, you don't need the character to win. He just wanted that character, and it's random.
Hmm.
Yeah, my biggest issue is like I don't really have a good solution, and I find a lot of the new like DLC microtransactions, a lot of the new trends just create this like inherent conflict of interest where if like I'm the company and I'm making content, it's like okay, like what content do I include in the base game? Right? You're posed with that question. What content do it's not like before where it's like okay, I just need to like make a game that people are gonna like, and you release that and that's what you've released. And then like if you're gonna bother to release an expansion pack, it basically needs to be like 50% of a game. So but now it's like what content do I include in the base game? Because for everything that I put in the base game and don't separate out into DLC or microtransactions, I am like removing value from the game.
You know
But
what?
then we need to find the right balance, and then you're working on, you know, that's where your mindset goes. It's like, okay, what balance is the right balance? And it's like, it's always what is the minimal acceptable. Like it always ends up as what is the minimal, like the minimum amount that will be acceptable by consumer standards.
Yeah, like what a game that I thought did a really good job with this was Borderlands 2. The Borderlands 2, like AAA game, full game, like a full game with 4 playable characters. That was your base game, and it was a pretty lengthy game. You play it solo, play it multiplayer, whatever, and then the Borderlands franchise, and I thought they did a really good job with it in 2. They added 2 additional new characters that you could buy as DLC characters to play in any of their content, and then they had several different mini campaigns basically that you could buy as DLCs, and that they had less overhead costs for those DLCs because you know the engine exists already, the loot system, all the mechanics, the numbers are all there. All you're doing is generating new environments, new story, and you know any new enemies and gear that might need to be associated with that. But like the core functionality of the game systems exist already. You're not having to make new stuff. Generally speaking,
all about how consumers feel when they go in, because there's some games that like on the one end of the extreme, like pretty much anything CDPR, it's like we're literally going to cram as much stuff into this game as possible and sell it for standard price. And then you have the other end of the extreme, which is specifically The Sims, where it's like when they release a new The Sims, it just feels like the most like bare bones nothing of a game.
well, and then the other the other extreme of the triangle in this case, the EA Sports division, where it's
literally the same game.
yeah. Here is the exact same game, but with like the
Updated
Switch
roster.
the
Updated
Switch
roster.
yeah, the Switch community in particular, they've they're charging near AAA price for the Switch sports games, even though like nothing has changed. They literally are telling you like it's just this game. It's the same game engine, same everything. They're just updating the rosters and stats and such. And there's been a lot of pushback from people who want to play sports games on the Switch because of that specifically.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the same thing, and that's what gets me. Is you look at stuff where it's like some games, like if they came out, let's just say that we're scrapping all the prices and like or whatever the standards were, and Cyberpunk or something like that, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so one of those games comes out at $100 Canadian. I don't know what that turns out. Like games are $80 Canadian right now. So if that comes out at like $100 Canadian,
be like 75 to 80 probably US.
Yeah, like I'm okay with that. But when it's literally the same game that you released last year, you're releasing it annually, and then you're trying to charge the full AAA price.
And sometimes you miss some of the textures, and like the previous year's textures are still in like the stands, for example. Was it soccer? Was it the FIFA line that did that? There was one of the ones recently where the 2019 textures were still in the 2020. Like it literally said like FIFA 19 or whichever the sports it was, 19 up in like the stands because they missed some of the textures.
It blows my mind. You look at companies who spend like 7 years developing a game, like. If they put their whole company into it, they like build an engine from the ground up, all the textures, all the story. It's like an 80-hour story, 100-hour story, plus side quests, and sell that for $80, and then EA is like, same game, $80.
Yeah,
Sure.
but people are buying it.
It's true. I my last EA Sports game purchase was in, I think it was NCAA Football 03. No, it was 08. NCAA Football 08 was the last one.
Yeah, I never bought the last one. I did the like whatever, they have like a trial subscription or whatever to EA's thing. I did that because I knew that I was only going to play it for like a month or something like that, and then I did touch this year's.
That's an interesting mechanic though that EA has started doing, their monthly subscription thing to just play pretty much anything in their catalog. That's kind of enticing. I've not personally made use of it yet, but I could see myself, especially after like I was one of the people who actually bought Anthem. I got 100 hours out of it, but like that game was not a great game by any stretch, and most people did not get the kind of playtime that I did out of it, mostly because I was okay with the grind. But that
You
that
do
sort
enjoy your grind.
I really do. But that sort of system where I can pay like a monthly fee to play any of their games, like that's enticing. I could see myself with future EA releases, if there's something that I'm really interested to play, I could see myself throwing down, maybe $30, $15 a month for 2 months to play the game as much as I want, and then put it away. What time is it? Oh my goodness, it's almost 9 o'clock. Dadgum. I didn't even realize. Well,
All
9 Central.
Yeah, it sucks. End it.
That's it. We gotta go.
The end.
The end. Thanks everybody who came out. Lightforce, thanks for being here. I know he had to leave early. He's got stuff that he has to deal with.
He's got his thing.
Precious and Bradum. Everybody else out there in Twitch chat or YouTube chat. We'll see you next time.